I got my top glued up. A lot of clamps. Wish I had more. Wish I had a better way to clamp it up, but it should be in pretty good shape. So anyway, I didn't show, gluing everything together because I really don't have time to stop and explain or anything else when I'm trying to get something glued up like that. So anyway, there it is, all glued up, the body blank, and I'm really happy with the way the book match walnut top is turning out. It's going to be gorgeous. It should be dry here in a little bit where I can start working with it. I don't know if I'll have enough time to do that today or not, but anyway, I've also been working on the neck, and basically what I've got done is I've got the channel routed for the truss rod, and it'll drop in there. I've also got it marked out. I don't know if you can see the lines or not, but I've got the outline marked out where I can cut it out close on the bandsaw, and then I'll attach the template there with some double-sided tape, and I'll use my table router to go around the template with a guide bearing on it, and finish out the shape of it and have it exactly the shape that it needs to be. As far as the outline, then I'll hand shape the neck. The wood that I decided to go with on the neck is called Goncola Alves, and some call it a substitute for rosewood. It's a neck that you can leave unfinished, so that's probably what I'm going to do. I have a Wingay neck that's basically unfinished, and after you play a little bit, it just gets really smooth, really slick, and feels nice. So it's better than a lacquered neck or a poly neck. Who'd have thought the F-hole was the hardest part? I still got cleanup to do on it, but being so narrow and down inside a 1/2-inch template, it was really hard to see down in there, and really hard to make sure that you weren't messing something up. So that was the most tedious thing I've had to do yet on this build. So anyway, but it's in there, and like I say, still have some cleanup on it. Still has the double-sided tape that held the template on there. That takes a few minutes to get off, but it sure holds good, and I don't want any slips, so I don't mind spending a little extra time getting off an adhesive that it'll come off. You just have to work with it, and when it comes off, it doesn't leave any residue behind. So I had ordered rosewood fretboard from StewMac. It's what I intended on using, and I just got to thinking I was going to make the cap out of mesquite until I found what a nice piece of walnut that I had, and decided to use that for the cap on the body. And I just got to thinking last night, why don't I just make a mesquite fretboard? It's a really, really hard wood. It's like 2345 on the Janka scale, and so it's as hard as the rosewoods, and nearly as hard as ebony and the things that they use for fretboards. And I think it'll make a really good fretboard. And so to do that, I have to make my own. And I have a sled here that's set up for cutting the grooves for the frets, and I have a saw blade. I don't know if you can see that. It's awfully small. I don't want to move my setting because I've got it set for my depth of cut and everything. But anyway, I ordered this saw blade from StewMac a few years ago that is specifically for cutting fret slots. And yeah, it's easier to just buy a pre-slotted board, but you know, sometimes you don't, you want to do something out of the ordinary. I've also used Wingay on some fretboards that I really like that too. It's nearly as black as ebony, and I really like it for fretboards. But on this, I wanted something a little bit lighter, and I wanted to have some mesquite on there. So anyway, what I'm doing is I've got it marked on the back. Measuring's a little bit tedious because you're dealing in thousandths of an inch. So it is a little bit tedious. Takes a few minutes to mark it off and double check and all that. But anyway, I think I'm really going to like this fretboard. It's a nice piece of mesquite, nice and clear, and I don't have the greatest lighting in here, but it's got some figuring in here. It's a really nice looking piece of wood, especially for a fretboard. Nice long close grain. So that's where I'm at, is making this fretboard so I can glue it up and get going on the neck. I've got my body pretty much ready. I don't have any finish on it yet. There's still some holes to drill for the bridge and for the Bigsby, but I want to wait until I get my neck completely done before I measure for my bridge. I want to measure off the actual nut. So anyway, I'm not going to do that until I get this neck fixed. So that's kind of what I'm working on now. Okay, well, I got the fretboard attached and got the neck bolted onto the body. So I'm about to measure out and find the exact location of where my bridge is going to go. I really like this mesquite fretboard that I decided to put on here. It's just a beautiful wood. It's a very hard wood. It's as hard as rosewood. I think it's probably harder than the rosewood than the fingerboard that I ordered from StewMac. I'm not exactly sure what type of rosewood they use. It seems a little bit soft, but it may just be me. But anyway, this try to get a really good shot of the mesquite fretboard there. Of course, it's a lot more work for me because I had to cut it down, had to resaw it, cut all the fret slots, radius it, flatten it, all of those good things. So it's a whole lot easier just to buy a fretboard and you know, use it and cut it down to the size you need. One of the things I didn't like about it was if you use 22 frets, you came in here with a fret about right here. And I've looked at some of them, and you know, that's the way they do it. Some of them let the fingerboard you know, lap over just a little bit, which I really don't care for. So I just decided to make my own. That way it would look more natural right here where the fretboard ends. Anyway, I'm happy with the way it turned out. I think it goes well with this walnut. That rosewood was going to be really dark as this walnut. It was just going to, I don't know, to me, not be any contrast at all. Where the mesquite brings in a little bit of the yellowish, goldish color. Also picking up with the headstock there of the Goncalo owls. I think it goes good with, you know, with the neck itself. And I think once it's all said and done, it's going to look really good. But anyway, I'm going to get this bridge laid out, get it drilled, figure out whether I'm going to have to recess it any or not. Those two pneumatic bridges are a little bit taller, and when I drill for my post holes here that go down into the body itself, I may recess this top just a little bit because the two pneumatics are taller than your standard Strat type bridge, Tele type bridge, which if I wasn't using the Bigsby, I would just use a regular Strat type bridge that's just a a non-tremolo type tailpiece that's pretty simple. Has the fender style saddles, the Strat style saddles. It's what I've used on my other builds. But anyway, if I wasn't using the Bigsby, that's what I would use, and it would be a body string through body on that. So anyway, with this taller bridge, I may have to recess the bushings that go down into the body just so that I don't have to put an angle on my neck. Some people will shim under their neck here and give it an angle so that the neck tilts backwards just a little bit, making it rise as it comes towards the bridge. I don't really want to do that. I would rather keep it as low and flat as possible. I think it'll help overall to keep it as low and flat as possible. So anyway, about to find that out. I'll get that done. Then I'm gonna, I've got to, on my headstock, as you can see here, it's still full thickness. I'm going to have to cut that down and sand it down and make it a standard Tele style headstock, where it just it's flat down here from this part. It's flat down here, and then it just rolls up into right behind the nut, and so that'll take a little bit of work. Drill the holes. I've got them pre-drilled for the location, and then get my frets on there, and then I'll start shaping the neck. It's it's still just a 1x piece of wood at the moment, and I'll have to shape that with files and rasp and stuff, and put the neck shape that I want on there, and that's always fun. So anyway, about to get to it. All right, well, it's drilled for my bridge. I did decide to recess it. I was gonna have to put some angle on the neck to make it work with the height of the bridge and everything. It was just a little bit too tall, and I thought it was. So anyway, I went ahead and recessed it so that the bushings and the adjustment posts that screw into the bushings are recessed down in there just a little bit. It's only about 1/10 of an inch, maybe just over 1/10 of an inch, but it's going to give me the clearance that I need, and hopefully I won't need to put any type of shim under my neck to give me an angle so that it's angling upward. I'd much rather just keep it flat as long as I can. So hopefully that's going to work out, and I won't have to use a bushing. And I also got drilled for the Bigsby. I got it all set up and in place. Got my holes drilled, so I don't have to drill any holes after I get the finish on. All I have to do is start putting the hardware on. So now I'm ready to do a final sand on this thing and get it ready to start applying the finish to it.